Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Now, this is not a stream. You have seen us streaming 7 hours, even 8 hours, whatever. And we have decided that we're going to start a weekly podcast based on
Yes.
wrestling. As you can see, the beautiful logo that we have created, the Chamber Pod, which is everything wrestling related, nothing else, just wrestling. That's what me and Chance, we've been watching since we were young. We know so much, so we figured why not talk about it. So basically, to kind of sum it up, the Chamber Pod is going to be a weekly podcast. We're going to bring current event, topics where we're going to talk about things that are going on. If it's a pay-per-view or premium live events like they call it now, and if something happens on the TV shows and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I
We're out
am,
here,
yeah,
just doing it.
that's right, yeah. And I
Giving
actually,
an expert analysis, We've
yo,
both been watching our entire life.
exactly. Yeah. So I actually just thought of a third question, Chance. So it's gonna work perfectly. So
Okay, fantastic. All
yes,
right,
sir.
man. So yeah, I'm excited for you to hit me with something, man,
Yes,
because we have a
sir.
lot to talk about this week. I mean, Jesus.
Yes. So we're gonna start off with a banger. Basically, if you did not know, me and Chance and Brian and a group of us, this past Friday, SmackDown was here in North Carolina. We all took a trip. We all
Yes.
went. It was amazing. My ear still hurts from the pyro, but it was just a blast, and I had an absolute blast. And I am so excited that I got to do it with my boys, and we
It
got to
was
see,
fantastic.
yeah, we got to see LA Knight. We got to see Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes, which was dope. And then we got to see the greatest tag team right now, Pretty Deadly, just taking over. And I hate you, Rich Holland, for injuring my boy. Hey, did you know that? Oh, and
While we
Prince,
were there, apparently
yeah,
that happened.
he
Yeah,
separated his
which is
shoulder.
crazy.
I'm upset. Anyways, so that was that. But so my first question is just tying it into that. Chance has had the privilege of going to a live event for WWE and AEW. So my question to Chance, and then I'll answer I haven't been to both, so my question is just gonna be how was my first experience. But for Chance, we're gonna ask him, Chance, what is the difference between going to an AEW live event and going to a WWE live event, and which one do you prefer more?
Ooh, that second part is a fun twist.
Ah,
Um, okay. So I guess your average WWE live event experience is going to be a more laid back crowd. I think a little more casual. You're gonna
yeah,
see more people from like everywhere. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like some people who are like casual wrestling fans, other people who are like really into it, other people are just going because there's something cool happening in town.
yeah.
And the vibe there is always just really laid back and chill. The entrance themes are like insanely loud, and the pyro
I
is
love
also
that.
insanely loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just a blast. Um, you go to commercial break, like, and the entire arena goes black. That's something that happens during the WWE shows when you're there live. That
Yeah.
does not happen at AEW. The
Wow, I
match
didn't
just
know
kind of
that.
continues during AEW, because with AEW they have that picture in picture. So even with the commercials, you still kind of
That's
watch the
true.
match.
Yeah,
So
I didn't
like
think of
there's
that.
literally like the lights don't go out in the arena or anything like that. But to compare everything I've just said to the AEW experience, you're gonna have a way more hardcore crowd. You're gonna have people who know about every single freaking wrestler there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's gonna be way more intense as far as that goes. The ring is also mic'd up different in AEW, and also
Ooh.
the same with like the entrance themes. There's just way more bass at AEW shows, at least in my experience when I
Ooh.
went.
Yeah.
The ring was mic'd up in such a way where like every slam kind of felt like bass boosted or something when I
Yeah.
was at AEW.
Ooh, that's
And
nice.
like I remember specifically noticing it during Miro's theme, like with those drums at the beginning, like
Yeah.
the bass was just like doom doom,
Yeah.
like it was insane. It was like you
Yeah.
were at the movies or something. I don't know, but
Yes.
the AEW crowds are also just way more passionate, bro. Like
Oh
I've
yeah.
like
Yeah.
way louder, way more
Yeah.
into literally everything. Like even
Yeah.
if it's something kind of stupid happening, there's like a "This is awesome" chant going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the chants are going constantly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, man, but I love going to WWE because it's kind of like I compare it to like when I go to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert or some shit,
Yeah.
like where it's like like the guys that like think about when we went. Uh,
Right.
and Cody came out, right?
Yeah.
He was the guy. You know what I mean? Like the energy in that whole place, or like when LA Knight came out and cut
Oh
his
my
little
God.
3-minute promo, bro. Like the energy in that room is amazing. And so it's like,
Yes.
so with WWE events, you're gonna have like peaks that are like insane because
Yeah.
you have these like mega personalities coming
Yeah.
out. That you and when I went as a kid, you would experience this much more when you still had guys like Cena coming out and guys like,
Yeah.
like Kane coming out and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Where it's those vibes get so intense, but
Yeah.
it's like when you're there at WWE, it's almost like it gets to a 10, whereas like it'll be like a 4 and then go to a 10
Yeah.
sometimes. But then when you're at AEW, it stays at like a constant 7 just the entire
Exactly. That
time.
makes a lot
You
of
know what I mean?
sense. Yeah.
So it's like a lot of fun experiencing both. But I don't know. I like AEW just because like the energy there is
Yeah.
insane, and I personally prefer the way the ring's mic'd up. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I mean, I don't ever want to miss a WWE show, especially when I might finally get to see Roman live, which he's been dodging
Yo.
me for like so long, bro. Like
That's gonna happen
and
one day.
Lesnar, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I would love to see
Yeah.
Lesnar,
Yeah.
still never happened. But yeah, that's my take on the differences, I think, is really that like
Yeah.
the audience is way more hardcore with AEW and that the
That
ring
makes a
is
lot of
mic'd up a
sense.
little
Yeah.
better. That's
Yeah.
kind of the two main distinctions. Also, you're gonna be there way longer for AEW. Like
Which
the
is dope.
WWE
Yeah.
crowd's like trying to be in and out on it.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is too, like you bring up a good point, because I feel like when we were there, where we were sitting, there were so many kids. Like,
Yeah,
WWE, I feel like is more of a kids product, a little bit more.
100%,
You know,
100%. Yeah.
obviously, like you'll have your kids and everything at AEW, but like I feel like every time there was the baby face that would come out, you would hear the kids go crazy. Like if it was
Oh yeah.
Bianca, Cody, Sheamus, all of them, the kids were going wild. And like I felt like me and Joel were the only ones cheering on Pretty Deadly. And like it was great, because I was like getting hype and everybody was just like moping because like that Sheamus and Ridge lost. But I can like
Yes.
I haven't been to an AEW event, but I can see that WWE is more of a family oriented event. Like
Yes.
let's take the kids and go watch SmackDown or something.
100%. You definitely see more of that at like a WWE show versus like AEW. Just because I don't know
Yeah.
but the crowds at AEW are just like so hardcore
Wow.
into it.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear guys having conversations about like New Japan matches and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that's like they come out the woodworks, man.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
So if you had to pick one to go to like forever and you could only go to the brand, either AEW or WWE, which one you picking? Pay-per-views included.
That's the thing, man. Like I feel like, and I've never been, but I feel like WrestleMania is just
Oh
the
my
apex of
goodness,
it. You know what
yes.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it really is, and I feel like AEW is not going to be that kind of live experience because it's really like if you're talking about those epic highs with like watching stuff, it's like
Yeah.
just from like a star power standpoint, you're going to see way more of like the rock stars of the
A hundred
sport
percent.
in
Yeah.
WWE. You know what I mean? But I mean AEW has those moments too, bro. When Jericho came out, like Jericho's entrance in the main event, the
Yeah.
place was crazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that was like when I think about like the energy in a place, I honestly think about that like the most. It's
Yeah.
like when everyone was going crazy at SmackDown, like for LA Knight, that was crazy. That was like one of the wildest pops I've been a part of. But I mean, when everyone was singing Jericho's theme, like this was like at the height of like the Judas thing, like
Yeah.
it was crazy, man. Like so, I don't know. That's such a
Yeah.
hard one, man. I don't
It
know.
is.
It's like I want to say WWE because I'd want to go to Mania, but like to just catch a random show that's going to be coming to North Carolina, bro. I
Yeah.
feel like AEW offers the better experience because I
Yeah.
mean they cater more to like I don't know. It's like they're way more appreciative of the fact that
Yeah.
like Carolina's flair country and stuff like that. You know what
Makes
I mean? There's
sense.
way more
Yeah.
references and kind of homages to the territory and
Yeah.
North Carolina wrestling history.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenny Omega cut a whole promo on North Carolina specifically when we went.
No, that makes
So,
sense. Yeah, no,
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, for me, like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I'm more of a WWE guy than AEW.
yeah,
But for me, like, I guess it's because Chris Jericho. I saw this video the other day. It was like an Inside the Ropes video. He literally described WWE and AEW perfectly. He said WWE is entertainment. Like, you're not gonna get wrestling first. He's like, he said he used a perfect example. He's like The Walking Dead, right? You think of Walking Dead, you think of zombies. The zombies
yeah,
aren't the main plot of the story. It's the characters that are talking, engaging with each other, who takes over, all this stuff. The zombies are kind of just like, in the background. Like they come and go, they show up and whatever. WWE is the same way, where you have the story arcs. I mean, look at the Bloodline, look at Judgment Day. You have all these things, but then the wrestling is kind of like in the background, like it's there. Like they'll fight and stuff, but like it's not like the main focus like in AEW. Like I watched the first episode of Collision when it came out when Punk came back. Besides Punk's promo, I don't think there was like any backstage segments. Maybe besides one, everything else was just matches. With WWE, you're gonna get like just tons of promos, tons of backstage segments, vignettes, all of this. So I think they're very two different experiences. And live, I think just WWE, man. I think it's because I've just been such like a WWE fan for so long.
Yeah.
And like I truly like I can tell you like I'm not like this super hardcore like New Japan Pro Wrestling person that knows like, everything and knows every Dave Meltzer rating for every match. Like that's just
7-star man.
Yeah, so so that's my take on it. But yes.
Yeah.
So but to translate to the second half of that question, which was how was it the live experience for me? It was great. I for so long, for so many years, I've always wanted to go to an event. Like I've always wanted to like go and see, like hear the music, hear the people, and it was just an amazing experience, man. And I'm very grateful that we got to do it. Definitely gonna pick better seats for the next one. We're gonna sit in like the first row.
We're gonna do way better for ourselves next time. Dude, yeah.
So
that would definitely make a difference too.
So yeah. So we'll move on to the second question, and Chance, you'll bring it up. Chance, what is the question that you want to introduce?
All right, man. Well, I mean, we're talking about stuff going on this week, and absolutely serviceable to start with the live event stuff. You know what I mean? Because absolutely, that was just a fantastic experience, and I'm so glad that I could be with you for your first time. You know what I mean?
Sir.
But moving on, we're gonna start with some AEW because naturally we've established, I'm our AEW guy. I'm out here knowing about it, and bro, I just want to talk about MJF and Adam Cole, bro. If you're familiar with what's going on right now, bro, it's fantastic. It's organic. The story that they're building up right now, and it's like been a highlight for me watching week to week with pretty much anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like. Because I mean, like the Bloodline's been my thing recently of just watching that, and I've been loving that. But it's like that's kind of cool. That's like not cooled down, but it's like kind of in a lull period where we don't really know what's going to happen until Roman shows up again for SummerSlam and all that cool stuff. And you got everything else kind of cooling down. We're waiting on Cody and Brock to like pick back up, and it's just like there's been like 2 weeks of like a lull period, and then in this 2 weeks, you've had like AEW just do their best to get something cool going. So like, man, they really grabbed my attention with it, and I've gone back and watched everything with MJF and Adam Cole, man. And it's like you obviously know where it's going, right? I mean, well, I guess they really could go 2 ways, and we could talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's one of those stories, man, that's like it's just so classic and fun that it's like you don't even it doesn't even matter that they're probably going to break up. That like it's just I'm excited for the ride, man. It's two performers that are absolutely perfect in the role. They're doing this like unlikely partnership, like 10 out of 10. They're playing on the fact of like I don't know, they're like making MJF the babyface in the sense that he's such a dick that nobody likes him, so you feel bad for him. So it's like I don't know, man. I they're hitting all the points for me, man, and I'm loving it. And it's like so I'm excited to see what they do moving forward. Because really, you got 2 ways. I mean, obviously, you could have MJF just betray him. He set up a cool match or whatever. But, bro, what if Adam Cole initiates the betrayal and we get, like, one of the greatest double turns ever? You know what I mean? It could literally, because, man, MJF being a complete heel, but also being a babyface in peril during these tag matches has been insane to watch. Where, like, he plays complete chicken shit and still being a heel, but, like, still builds it up where you want him to win, bro. And you want him to get that hot tag. They build up a fucking double clothesline, bro. Like, come on. Like, it was perfect. Like, everything they're doing, man, it's just hitting out of the park for me right now. So I just wanted to bring attention to that, bro, because obviously they're a very unlikely tag team. But, I mean, man, like, it's been entertaining. Like, first of all, I mean, it's like one of AEW's, like, main storylines going on right now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just exciting, man. And if you turn MJF face, you could do so much with him because, I mean, it's at a point where it's like, he's been a heel champion for a while, you know what I mean? And if they're wanting to really extend this reign, having him go face, I mean, it could be interesting, bro. I mean, obviously, I think he's a better heel, but we've never really got to see him as a face, and he's been showing that he's got the stuff to pretty much be the guy no matter what role he's in. So that's where I'm at, man. And I mean, obviously, Adam Cole proving that he's as great as everyone thought he was in 2019. You know what I mean? He kind of cooled down for a little bit, but I'm glad that he's back in something big. know, because like some of the when he first got to AEW, he kind of wasn't doing too much, and I'm glad that he's kind of in the title picture now because it's going to lead to an amazing match at some point,
Yeah,
obviously. So
yeah. I hope I'm proven wrong, because like one of the rare instances where I want to be so wrong. You know what the
right,
one chip challenge is, right? It's a little random. You know the one chip challenge, right?
yes,
So if you eat it, you're gonna feel the spice like right away, and you're
yes,
gonna suffer, right? So you expect it, and you're still gonna do it, right? So for me, I see this this partnership, as the one chip challenge, right? I am avoiding it because I know what's gonna happen. I'm
yes.
avoiding at all costs. I can put my house. I don't have a house, so I can still do it. Um, that MJF is gonna turn on Adam Cole, and it would be super dope if
Sure, yeah.
Adam Cole, did the double turn. I think that would be the way to go, because you just throw everybody off guard. But I don't think AEW is ready to turn MJF face. I don't think so. I think that he's just doing a great job of getting everybody in there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm a face. Be happy for me. But then there's gonna be a moment. They already started teasing it last night. I don't know if you saw it. Adam
Oh
Cole
yeah,
picked up the
with Adam
belt.
holding the belt. Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's inevitable. But I guess the big question now is it gonna be Adam? Is it gonna be MJF? I think it's gonna be MJF, because he's just such a dick, and like I don't see how they're gonna turn him face. At least not for now. I would like to see him turn face eventually, because I think he could pull it off. But he's like
Oh yeah.
he's the biggest heel in pro wrestling right now. Who's bigger? Like, I think it goes him, Roman, Dominic Mysterio, honestly, and
Oh yeah.
so I just don't see him turning like full time face. I think this is just an act for him to turn on Adam Cole at the end, maybe at the finals. I think no. What is it now? They have the what's the next match that they have?
No, no, it is the finals. It's going to be
Yeah,
MJF and Adam Cole versus the Revival.
he's turning on them. He's turning on them.
No,
He's turning on
yeah.
right there. He's gonna do something. He's gonna turn on. So that's my take. It's a hot take. I'm sure everybody's like, no, that's not gonna happen. They're such a perfect duo. And yeah, all their content has been great. Don't get me wrong, all of it.
Oh yeah.
But I just know what's to come. So that's why I'm not getting myself excited. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, yes, this is great. Yes, perfect. Boom. I'm like, all right, hold up. Like, you guys know what's gonna happen, right? Like, it's so
Oh yeah,
it's right there.
I mean, it's sort of it's inevitable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're totally going to end up feuding. But it's like for me with the two characters at play, I'm mad excited about just the whole process because like these
Yeah.
are two guys that are so great.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're even having the conversation of could a double turn be in the works is just a
It's true.
testament to the fact that
Yeah.
Adam Cole is fantastic as
He's
a
great.
face or a heel. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
100%.
And he can do both. So it's like, and same with MJF. I feel like and he hasn't really displayed that babyface stuff, but he's displayed like such a knowledge of how the crowd reacts, and he knows
Yeah.
exactly what people want, and like that. It's like
But that's why I
he
think he's not
he's
turning.
only such yeah
Yeah, that's why I think he's not turning face, because he knows
yeah
what they want. He knows that they're all like, oh my God, yes, this is perfect. They're doing everything together. He's gonna be like, dude, like, no, I'm world champ. You suck, and I'm turning on. Now, here's the question I have for you, real quick. If MJF turns heel, okay, does the chances of Adam Cole winning the belt go higher, or Adam turning heel, does that make his chances of becoming world champion higher? If that makes
I think
any
if
sense.
I think so. If MJF turns heel, like, are you asking if it kind of increases his chances of like retaining, or you think
Yes,
if he
yes,
okay?
exactly. Whoever so and then if Adam's turning heel, do you think his chances go higher of him winning the belt?
Well, if we're trying to do a double turn and turn MJF face, having Adam Cole do some fuck shit to betray him and then cheating him and screwing him out of the belt is the
Yeah,
easiest way to have everyone rally behind him, you know what I mean,
yeah,
in like a really quick fashion. But I also don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on Adam Cole being world champion yet, just
yeah,
because he hasn't really like I feel like most other world champions in AEW have a pretty solid body of work before they get to
yeah,
the title. That's been something that's been kind of consistently
yeah,
maintained so far. I mean, you had like Jericho Jericho came in and he beat Kenny Omega to
Yeah.
like for the belt. You know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
like them writing on all the history they had going on before creating the company. And then you had Moxley get built up for like a while before finally beat
100%.
Jericho.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, then obviously you had the stuff with CM Punk and Adam
Yeah.
Page and all that. And so it's like, I don't know. I think MJF retains regardless of how this
Either
feud
way.
plays out.
Yeah.
Personally, just because I mean, dude, I think he's gonna keep that belt, and I think I think they're gonna do something with the 2024 thing, man. I think that storyline's cooking. I think
Yeah.
they're really trying to long term book it, and AEW had they have displayed a constant proficiency at doing long-term booking. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those things like their long-term it's like they have two or three good long-term stories and then like the short-term stuff is kind
Yeah.
of like not as interesting, I feel like, in some situations. But dude, some of their long-term stuff is like immaculate.
Yeah.
And so I
100%.
think I think MJF retains. But if you're trying to do a mix-up, dude, having Adam Cole get that belt, I feel like the best way to do it would
That'd
have
be
him
dope.
turn heel.
Yeah.
And the thing with MJF is like he's only such a good heel. Like he has to be a competent face to also be as good of a heel as he is.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like we discussed, he has to know exactly what the people want and then avoid it or whatever. It's like the way he built up that pop for just doing his suicide dive out of the ring.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you saw that. Like
I did.
he
Yeah.
got
I caught it.
everybody so hyped. Like he had everybody so hyped. Like he was teasing it up and then he acted like he didn't want to do it. And then the whole crowd started going crazy. And like he was acting like, oh snap, I guess I got to do it. So he did it. And then he acted all surprised that he pulled it
Yeah.
off. Like it was so perfect, bro. And it's like, I don't know. I think with MJ, that being said, he's such a charismatic heel that if you had a situation where you turn him face just long enough for people to want to like get on board with it and then just have him turn heel
Yeah.
again you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you could do that as many times as you wanted because everyone kind of wants him to be a face almost because he's built himself up to be like so cool that you want to
Yeah.
be able to like easily cheer him within narrative, but he keeps like self-sabotaging and that's almost his
Right.
whole character. I mean, and so it's like it's really interesting to see that like I don't know how they could play with it long term of like
Yeah.
him winning and then throwing away the affection of the
Right.
crowd so constantly.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing
That
because
makes
it's like
sense.
in a way he's
Yeah.
already done babyface stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
that's my
Well,
take on it.
there you go. Yeah. And I have my super one chip challenge take on it. So, yeah. So we got a good one there. Now I'm gonna move on to the second question on my behalf. This one is directed towards, I guess you can include NXT because NXT has been doing it as well. Over the last few years, I want to say starting in the pandemic, maybe a little bit 2021-ish, we've been seeing a trend of companies, AEW, WWE speaking, of doing pay-per-views or premium live events, type of events, during a weekly show. So this yesterday, which was Wednesday, we had Blood and Guts, and then like NXT has done stuff. I've heard like the Gold Rush. I don't know if that's NXT or AEW, and stuff like that. So my question to you, Chance, and then I'll go after you. What is your opinion of this new era of events taking place during weekly TV?
Man, I love it personally just because I think it's great for the product. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
have all sorts of exposure happening. It's like they're kind of it's like every now and then they're giving away something for free. And I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. Like they're trying to get people enticed in. And because bro, right now pro wrestling's kind of exploding. You know what
It
I mean?
is
Like the past couple of
100%.
years, like it's becoming way more and more relevant. Like each day it feels
Yeah.
like, and like it's getting close to like 2011 again almost. It
Yeah.
feels like where like people are starting to kind of embrace it in social culture again.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think having this new thing kind of especially with AEW, bro, it's going to be great for AEW because at the end of the day, not only are you selling the idea that if you watch this episode of free TV, you're going to see a pay-per-view quality thing, but it's also helping the people who are going to live shows or whatever. You're having these free events in places that would never get like a pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went in Charlotte for AEW's Battle of the Belts or whatever, saw a pay-per-view quality show, and it was like with matches that I would never have offered to me by WWE just because of
Yeah.
the fact that they'd never have a flagship event like a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania outside of something like North Carolina, because it's like I don't know, they have a certain market for those kinds of events, So I think it's great that more and more like companies are kind of giving more to everybody, they're
Yeah.
really stepping it up. I think there is also something to be said about like the difference between a pay-per-view version of one of those matches and like
A
the free
hundred
TV
percent.
version
Yep.
because I mean they kind of tone it down 100%, but I mean still, dude, I think it's great for the project. I mean, because product rather, because I mean you see stuff like you're getting ladder matches as like your main event at NXT and
That's
stuff. I
pretty
mean they
dope.
started
Yeah.
that in like 2020 or whatever. I mean, and you're getting more steel cage matches. You're getting to see more stuff like that. And I think I think that's great for the product, man. How about
Yeah.
you? Like, how do you feel about it?
So I guess I like it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a way to, especially during this era where you have two companies trying to bring in more of an audience in, and like AEW still trying to grow as a company and everything, especially on AEW side. I do
Yeah,
think that doing that is definitely the way to go. The only thing, I guess, the only question, it would be my question to the producers, the writers, and everything. Does this, like, doing that change like the finish? Because like I saw the ending of the Blood and Guts match, and I was kind of like, I don't know, man. This ending is just weird. Like, you had what's his name, the Pac, he left in the middle of the match, and then
yeah.
Tanahashi, if I'm not mistaken, he just walked out. And that's his
Or
name, right? Tanahashi.
no, that's not Tanahashi, but I know who you're talking about. I
It's
can't
one of
remember his
them.
name either.
I
It's the
don't.
guy that the BCC brought in,
Yeah, yeah,
like Don
dude.
Callis had him come in.
Exactly. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with those names. Like, I get all of them
Yeah,
confused. But anyways, and then like the match just ended with Adam Page choking out Willa Yuta, whatever his name is,
yeah,
and I'm just like, okay. And then they're all just standing there. And I'm just like, okay, so what now? Like, I'm just like, I don't know. So I wonder if
yeah,
that's because of the free TV, but probably not. I'm just maybe overthinking it. But here's my thing,
yeah.
and it's kind of like driving away from the question a little bit. What's really hurting AEW that WWE has on top of them is the fact that AEW is still doing $50 pay-per-views.
Yeah, it makes it a tough sell, man. They really, especially because now that they've merged with Ring of Honor, you have a solid enough, robust enough catalog to
Yeah.
have some sort of streaming service. And I mean, bro, AEW's always been like the alternative to WWE, and it's like WWE kind of like sold out to Peacock, so the network's gone, bro. You have an excellent opportunity to step in and kind of fill a void there of having like
Yeah.
old school pro wrestling on demand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you use that Ring of Honor library, bro,
Oh yeah.
and like just kind of like dude, go back and be able to stream like those like Punk Samoa Joe matches or like the
Yeah.
Punk Raven match, dog collar. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
like people would pay money for that, you know, and
Yeah.
especially if they could step in and get some sort of indie company's library, or if they could step
Exactly.
in and
Yeah.
find something like that. You know what I mean? It could be big for them, man. And New Japan's also looking at making a stream entrance into the U.S. You know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
like there's opportunity there for them to do something really cool.
Yeah.
And so I think they definitely need to get with the times as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But part of that is to be said. I think the reason they're doing $50 pay-per-views right now is because they're only doing 4 pay-per-views a year, and they're getting the people
That
that
is
are
true.
buying those pay
Yeah.
spending enough money to keep it
Yeah.
going. But to keep the conversation going, there is rumors and talk that AEW are moving to a 12 pay-per-view a year
Which I
strategy,
think
like
they
or
should.
market,
Yeah.
which
Cause
which
yeah.
would be awesome, you know, because I mean, in the early inceptions of how everything was going, it worked, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's time to step it up, you know. I mean, you have three
Hundred
TV shows
percent.
that fucking like going at the same time. You got to have these pay-per-views and
Yep.
these builds
Yeah.
like wrap up faster at this point. You know,
Yeah.
back when you only had Dynamite, it worked because you had a massive roster. You know, so it took a while to tell
Yeah.
every story that you were setting up for the pay-per-view. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's time to step it up, man.
Yeah. You nailed it right on the head, and I think we have our takes for both of those questions. Like so I think that's pretty that. And now we're gonna move
Yeah.
on to your. Oh, you gonna say something?
One question I was gonna ask, like on top of that, like
Yeah.
with everything that we just said in mind, though, is like, do you think it takes away some of the novelty of some of these match types and stuff if you're seeing them too often?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's like you look at certain things that have kind of been cheapened over the
Right.
years. I mean, if you want to start off with like the DDT, moving all the way
Yeah.
down to the super kick, moving all the way down to now people being busted open, it
Oh yeah.
happens so frequently that it almost doesn't matter.
It
On
doesn't.
like
Yeah.
I don't like so it's like but then they do crazy things to step it up. Like obviously you had some wicked spots in there. I mean, you had Moxley getting slammed onto the bed of
Yeah.
nails, you know, and then the moonsault onto the bed of nails. You know, you had crazy shit, but like, yeah, do you think it cheapens it if you see it
So
too often?
here's my take, right? So War Games, I call it War Games. I don't know what AEW calls it.
Yeah, they call it blood and guts.
Blood. So it's just blood and guts. Okay, so War Games to me, right? Years ago wasn't even a thing. WWE wasn't doing it. It was just some WCW thing that used to happen. And when they brought it back, yo, like it was such a big thing. When NXT did the first one, it was like this big thing going on. And to me, putting a match like that on a weekly like show kind of just like, I don't want to say it diminishes the value, but like it's kind of like, yo, that's like something special, man. Like that's like if you did like Cody versus Roman for the belt on like a episode of like Main Event or something. Like it's
Which,
just,
I mean, imagine the views it would get, right?
would,
But
yeah,
like,
but it's like something for that magnitude deserves to be on like, you know, a main paper. Like for example, everybody's like Roman is not losing the belt to WrestleMania 40, which I agree with, and we'll get more on Roman in SummerSlam next week's episode. But there's things that need to be set in a different stage. So I think War Games, you know, stuff like that. Every other match is fine. War Games, Hell in a Cell should never be in a weekly show. Stuff like that needs to be on, because there needs to be a difference between premium live events and weekly shows, at least a little bit. You know what I mean?
100%. And I think there's also a point to be made talking about AEW's formula of like, this is kind of one of those in-between shows where like there's not really a pay-per-view for a while before or after this show. You know what I mean? So I think part of it is that their model calls for more pay-per-views than they have right now. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's kind of, and so it's like with them being in their growing phase, it's one of those things like someone who's always heard of the concept of War Games but never wanted to spend money probably got the opportunity to see a War Games match last night, which is probably a pretty cool thing. But I think they need to be careful with especially real big time gimmick matches like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think like having like a ladder match or like an intense title fight, because I mean like Seth defended the belt not too long ago. This is like the main event of Raw or something not too long ago, right?
Like,
but
Finn or something, one of them.
Yeah, but it's like you run into the other thing of like you want to be careful with doing that, because you run into that same problem with doing something on free TV of like, especially when we're watching it on Raw or WWE, of like, man, if it's a title match, I'm assuming the finish is going to be something whack because it's not on the pay-per-view, you know? Exactly. So it's like with AEW, I appreciate that they're doing it and having it be an act, like it's coming as advertised and you actually get a satisfying finish and it's not some whackness. But I mean, with the blood and guts thing, I almost feel like it's kind of that same effect, you know, where it's like, the finish was whack because it was on free TV, you know.
I really think
it was
so.
what it was.
Yeah, I really think so, and that's my thing. Like, I 100% agree with you. Like, and then that's a really good point on like, you know, allowing people to see what a War Games or blood and guts type of match is on TV. But then, like, people would be like, okay, so if it's on free TV, like, why am I gonna pay to see it now? $50, you know what I mean? Like, whenever they do it on pay per view again. But whatever. That's just a thought, but yeah. So,
also, random side thought on all of that. Thoughts out to Bryan Danielson, because he would have made that match so much better. God, he would have been a beast if he was in there. Because the only reason Pac is in that match was because Bryan Danielson hurt himself, and Bryan Danielson was going to be the guy. And like that, oh man.
And we're gonna get to him later. I have a question that kind of, in a little way, ties in. Perfect. So, anyways, so your third question, Chance, what you got?
All right, let's talk about Bray Wyatt, bro. It's the elephant in the room, right? Like, where is he, bro? You know what I mean? And what's going on? Because WWE recently come out and they revealed original plans. I mean, apparently, Bray Wyatt, at least according to what other people are saying. I mean, obviously, we don't know. We're not super super informed, and the dirt sheets are always wrong. But the thing going around is that Bray Wyatt has some sort of undisclosed illness. And so plans are kind of on hiatus with Bray Wyatt right now, and we don't really know what's going on. But they originally said that there was going to be some sort of faction coming out with Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? And with recent events happening with the WWE 2K23 video game, their DLC came out, the Revel with Wyatt pack, revealing or having Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy in there. You take the mask off of Uncle Howdy, revealing that it was in fact Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy. So we all know that it's Bo Dallas, right?
Yeah.
He was trying to build some sort of faction, trying to get some sort of steam going. Yeah. They're saying that Triple H was wanting the Fiend to come back, and Bray Wyatt doesn't want to bring the Fiend back because of how everything went. And
Dang.
so what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? And they were originally teasing that there was gonna be this Wyatt faction, and the faction was potentially like gonna be like different versions of Bray, and then like the
Yeah.
other characters, and Alexa Bliss was gonna be
Yeah.
involved somehow.
And now she's
And
pregnant.
yeah, and so it's like what's gonna happen when he comes
Yeah.
back, man? And what do you think the best route for them to go is at this point? I guess
So
is my question.
yeah. So I want to backtrack a little bit. So let's talk about when he returned real quick. So there was this hype in between every live event, everything they would play the White Rabbit song, and then the lights would turn red when she would say "Remember." Everybody was going crazy. Everybody was like, "Yo, who is this? Like, is it Karrion Kross? Is it Hulk Hogan?" Like, it's just like this. Like, everybody was going crazy. Like, I've never seen so many people post videos like, "Oh, here are the clues. Like, what is going on?" The build was perfect. Every
Yes.
minute detail was just excellent. Like, it was just great. And then I remember me and my brother Joel, the day of Extreme Rules, everybody knew he was gonna show up that day. Like, you knew he was coming. So me and Joel are blasting the Fiend's theme song in the car. We're listening to Bray Wyatt's theme song. Like, yo, we're getting ready. Like, I literally wore my Christmas sweater with the Fiend on it on the day of, even though
Hey.
it was like 70 degrees outside and I was burning in there. We were pumped,
Fantastic.
right? So the fight pit match happens between Seth and Riddle.
Riddle.
Yeah, Riddle
With
wins
DC is the ref.
with DC as the ref. That was the funniest thing. And then that happens, and they show the little thing. I forget what it's called, like the little thing that's like saying that's gonna end with like the trademark and everything, and
The copyright,
the
yeah.
copyright. And with Triple H, you don't believe that. We all learned from Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Anyways, that's beyond the point. So that pops up, screen goes black, right? The song plays. He's got the world in his hands. You see all the characters. Me and Joel are going crazy, everything. And then you see the Fiend's mask is on the table, and then you see where the Fiend was in the crowd, and then dude, it was insane. And then he comes through the door, pop, automatic pop, dude. It was so hype, and like everybody was like, "Yo, Bray Wyatt, in Triple H era, like, yo, this is gonna be insane."
He felt like the Undertaker, man. Like, I'll go
yeah.
out and say it. Like, that was reminiscent of that like
Yes.
Undertaker return. Like, you know the one I'm talking about. Like,
100%.
it's just
Yeah.
very, very reminiscent of that
Yeah.
feel, the energy.
Yeah. Dude, so okay. So then to fast forward now, I don't think I've ever seen, in my honest opinion, a worse downfall than Bray Wyatt's run coming back. I don't even think it's as bad as the Titan in the sea, like going to see the Titanic. I don't even think it's that bad, bro. Cause that was so bad. Like, I don't know what was going on. The promos were horrible. He would be talking. I really loved the promo, the first one he did, where he was kind of like shouting out the fans, and then he shouted out not Bray Wyatt, Brody Lee. That was incredible. But then it would just end. Like, you see Uncle Howdy's face on the Titantron, and then it just cut to end. And then you see like him like talking, and then something would happen. Months of that, and then he feuded with LA Knight in this pitch black match in the Royal Rumble. Absolutely garbage. It was so bad. And then literally, like, you see the end of the match, Uncle Howdy jumps, but because of the camera angle, you can clearly tell he missed. And like, it was just like, okay. And then he disappears. And now he's with illness. Now, to answer your question, I think, and I hope he feels better. I hope everything's okay. This was the best for him, like, because he needed to revamp. He needed to be like, okay, hold up, that wasn't working. Let's get something together. I don't know if that's making this faction even crazier or something, but I think that they need to do something like to change it up a little bit, because that feud with LA Knight was horrible. I am so thankful, and LA Knight is, spoiler alert, gonna be my next question. Something about him. I am so grateful that he came out of that and still got over. Because if not, everybody be like, yo, what was that? That was so bad. So I don't know what they're going to do with Bray Wyatt. I personally believe he should just go back to the Fiend. I think he should just come back to the Fiend. Just have better storylines. Just no Alexa Bliss. Forget her. That's it. And just dude, I mean, just imagine a run he could have. And somebody said it, like, imagine Roman loses to Jay, right? Or like Cody in WrestleMania, and he's just like in shock, and the lights just go red, and the Fiend comes out, and he's like,
Because I
"There you go."
mean, that would be so
Yeah,
perfect. Because I mean, Roman came in day one and killed the Fiend. You know what I mean?
exactly.
And
So
and who knows, bro? Maybe Bray Wyatt being so adamant about not returning to the Fiend in like media he's done, and the very few
yeah,
times he's kind of done interview situations, he might be working, bro. You know what I mean? They
yeah,
might be trying to build up that surprise return because people want the Fiend. And part of me wonders if the original plans with that faction was building towards a return or at least an incorporation and
yeah.
usage of the Fiend. It kind of sucks that we don't really know where it was going, but I do agree that they kind of fell into a bit of a limbo for a while there, and that feud with LA
It
Knight
was
didn't
kind
help
of bad,
anybody really.
man. Yeah.
Well, it didn't help Bray and the
And
public perception of how he was
it
being
didn't.
handled. But one thing you mentioned, and it kind of like got me starting, bro, is like looking back at everything and the way it is that did that feud kind of make everybody realize how much they like LA Knight? Because like he didn't really blow up like that until after everyone was
Yeah,
like, why do you have him in this? Why is
yeah,
he doing this? And that's kind of like he kind of blew up after that. And it's like Bray Wyatt is very high profile. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the fact of the matter is that whenever Bray Wyatt came back, whoever he was in that first feud was like whoever he was in that first feud with was
yeah,
gonna get a lot of attention, bro.
yeah.
So it's like the plan might not have worked or been great, but it did, and I know that LA Knight obviously put all the work in on his own, and it's
Yeah.
not like Bray Wyatt gave him that rub and put him, you know what I
Right,
mean? But
right,
it's
right.
like that specific way events played out, bro. It's like we might
Yes.
have got the vibes behind LA Knight that are currently behind him. Like
Yeah.
that could have really been a precursor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, bro, because even with the way that kind of didn't work, it's like obviously with that return, bro, everybody loves Bray. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
all shouts
Oh
out to
yeah,
Bray. You know what I
definitely.
mean? I
Yeah.
know he struggled with all sorts of
The
like
hundred
stuff
percent.
with his
Yeah.
run,
Yeah.
but it's like, and I mean, I think he has the ability to just to do something great, if he
I
comes back with
agree.
a story. They just got to let him off the chain, and they can't have him just being stagnant, bro. They owe it to the character to have him out there like fucking
Yeah.
shit up in some capacity, bro. And
Yeah.
the thing you mentioned about Roman, bro, I think that's 100% like the best and most amazing idea you could have, bro. And
Oh
if he's
yo.
just the boogeyman and you don't have him wrestle that often, and he
Yeah.
just comes out and gets people every now and then, bro, like
Yeah.
that could be perfect. You know what I mean? It's
That's
like,
what
and
I'm
I think
saying.
part of the
Yeah.
reason they're struggling with Bray is they're trying to find a way to have him like a week to week character, and that just doesn't make sense for his character. I think he needs to kind
Yeah.
of he needs to be kind of put in that Undertaker spot. You know what I mean? He
Yes.
needs, and I know people have said that for years to the point where it feels forced, and it's obviously
Yeah.
like he needs to be the first Bray, not the next Undertaker, but like
Yeah.
he needs to be that kind of like thing that doesn't need a title to be scary and intense. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? And if
Yes.
he was able to destroy Roman after Roman lost the belt, that could kind of that
That
would
could
just elevate
catapult him.
him to
Yeah.
where yeah, it's basically would make him his own title. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then he could just go and hunt anybody,
Yeah.
and the feud would be serviceable regardless. Because I mean, bro, I think that feud with LA Knight. I mean, obviously Pitch Black was weird and it was dumb, and I don't know how I felt about the glow in the dark shit, and the Uncle Howdy spot was ridiculous, and
Exactly.
having the and trying to sell it as a legitimate intense rivalry that's like a blood feud, and you got the Mountain Dew logo plastered everywhere, like did not help.
It did it.
Did not help, you know
Nope.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, I just love Bray, man. You know what I
I
mean? I
love
have a
Bray,
soft spot.
man.
They got to give him something better, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, who knows? I mean, this might have been what he wanted to do. You never know with these types of things, so
Yeah.
it's hard to say. But it's like, I think, like you said, that given the circumstances, like obviously you want his recovery to be the main thing.
Yeah.
But when he comes back, man, he's a great creative mind. And you can be so sparing with him and get so much out of him because of how smart the dude
Yeah.
is. So it's like I think just having him in like high profile stuff, like a dude, the thing with Roman could be great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I think a couple of rematches and score settling could be fantastic, and people
Yes.
would love to see it.
Yeah.
And then it's like you could take it a million different directions. I mean, people loved the cult leader Bray, but I don't think he really wants to do that anymore
Nah.
either, just because of
Brody
like
Lee.
obviously Brody Lee and everything surrounding that. And I mean, it's like Strowman's kind of elevated himself past something
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, you got Eric Redbeard or whatever, But
Yeah. No, I would do anything to have Colt Bray back because that's my favorite version of Bray. But I know because of Brody Lee and everything you just mentioned, it won't
yeah,
happen. But if I could have a version of the Fiend would just be perfect. And I think
Do
what happened here. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
Okay, well, those original Funhouse promos and everything around the
Yeah.
original debut of the Fiend, up before that Seth match with Hell in a Cell, which obviously didn't go the way anyone wanted it to go. Man, it was perfect, man. I was so on board. I
Yeah.
was drinking the Kool-Aid. I love the Firefly Funhouse stuff was like must see for me. Like
Yeah.
everything about it, I was like so into the character. I
Right.
thought I was sick,
Yeah.
and it's like I it really only got screwed up, and it really only got jacked up when they had him mess with the title, man. That story didn't need the title, and the title
No.
cheapened it because once you become champion, you have to
Yeah.
defend it a certain amount of times, and then it's like I don't know, like the whole character of the Fiend, like the whole motive never really seemed to
Right.
make sense with the championship.
Yeah.
Very similar to the Undertaker in the sense
Yeah.
that like once he won the belt, he always kind of like
It just felt off.
yeah, like no one ever thinks of the Undertaker as like a fighting champion who defended his
Exactly.
belt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's
So
like you know
yeah.
you think of him as like this cryptic boogeyman. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And to the last point before we get to our last question, the thing is, what I think has happened here with this new character is that this is what made Undertaker the GOAT. You had Undertaker supernatural, but also still a wrestler, and there was a balance. With Bray,
Hmm.
it just started becoming too much supernatural and all this weird stuff
Yeah.
going on, and like then the match was trash, and then like we mentioned Uncle Howdy. Like I was like, where's the balance? And that's why I think the Fiend was perfect, because it was like, yo, you got this crazy ass dude, and he has two personas, but when he would wrestle, he was a beast. And then we
Yes.
all know where that went. So, but yeah, so that's the end of that question. And for our last question, Chance, I wanted to ask you, and I didn't bring this up earlier. It kind of just been building up in my head. We have seen WWE take people who have been super over and just completely diminish what they've created on their own. We could
Yes.
take Zack Ryder as a giant example, Dolph Ziggler in different instances, but we've also seen them capitalize on it. For example, Daniel Bryan. My question to
Zayn.
you is, Sami Zayn, yes, good one. From a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you that WWE is gonna mess up LA Knight?
I don't think they're going to. I think Triple H listens. You know what I mean? I the more and more I look at it, and the more I've grown accustomed to WWE's audience manipulation, and I really don't understand how I didn't see this sooner, bro. What we're seeing right now with LA Knight is a microcosm of what we're doing long term with Cody Rhodes, in the sense that everyone wanted it so bad that you would be stupid to give it to
Yes.
him right away.
Yeah.
I think Money in the Bank was a perfect example of everyone was like, all right, he's about to climb that ladder. He's fucking cashing in tomorrow night. He's pinning Roman. Like, like you know what I mean? Like everyone just got so hype and they're ready, but the second that it got taken away from them, they're like, "Oh, this is fucking bullshit. It's stupid." They're totally gonna pay it off. You know what I mean? I think they're gonna have him go for that U.S. belt, and they're gonna do this trial run, and he's gonna be a big deal. And I think he's gonna hold this belt down and do his thing while we
Yeah.
have the next people in line for this belt come to play. I'm thinking Cody Rhodes and like Gunther and like that. But I mean, obviously he's headed up. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think he's the perfect guy to beat Theory for this belt. And if he doesn't beat Theory for this belt, then he really needs to be moving straight to either the IC belt or the WWE title. You know what I mean? I would love to see him go after Seth eventually,
Yeah.
or whoever beats Seth or whatever. But I mean, him versus Cody Rhodes would be really fun as far as the promos go. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's like LA Knight would probably have to take the heel role in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's very interesting because I could see that becoming almost like a modern day CM Punk and Cena thing, with like a certain segment of the crowd wants this, but the casual audience wants this,
Yeah. That's
and
true.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think you got to be careful with having those two guys get paired together, at least in the near future, you know, because I
Yes.
want LA Knight to be a world champion, but at the same time,
100%.
like there's like a clear order to how this is going to play
Yeah.
out
I
without
agree.
pissing everybody off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it seems like Cody's next, even though he's not yet, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So what's your number? 1 to 10. How scared? You giving it a 0? 0 to 10 then.
I'm gonna say it too because I'm still traumatized from things. You know, I never thought that they would screw up plenty of things that they screwed
Yes.
up. You know,
Yeah.
like they've
Yeah.
managed to surprise me quite a few times. They've surprised me like 4 straight times with the whole
Yeah.
Brock Roman thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you my score. My score is an 8.5, and it's so high because of the evidence that has been left by WWE.
No.
throughout the thing. I love your take on it being like, a smaller version of what Cody's going through. 1,000% correct. But the thing is, everybody knows that Cody's gonna win. Like, he has to win. There's no way you're building up to him for him to be this big
But what if
baby
he
face.
doesn't?
Dude, if he doesn't, I'm done. Like, I'm just done.
Right.
But come on. Like, if he doesn't, like, I don't know what else to do. But anyways, so we all kind of have an idea of what Cody's plan is. Well, LA Knight, let's just look at recent history. The man wasn't even on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. He showed up as a dark segment with Hit Row. Hit Row. Yes, the pop was immaculate, but it wasn't even on the show, right? He has lost matches to Santos Escobar, who, okay, he's dope, but he sucks right now. And I swear to Jesus, if LA Knight loses that final fatal four-way tomorrow, I'm going to be very upset. There's just been cases of him losing. I was scared he wasn't going to show up on Friday because they just weren't building it up. And then he came out and cut that little promo, which was great. And obviously you can say Money in the Bank, but I'm with you. Like, after thinking it over, I really truly believe that it's going to build to something better in that aspect. And plus, I know they're pushing Judgment Day to the moon, so it makes sense. But WWE sometimes just they turn their eyes to a different direction, and they see the audience loves this guy, and he's selling merch. He's doing numbers everywhere. But sometimes it's like, because at the end of the day, like, Triple H is running things, but we also got to remember Vince is still like making changes and all that stuff. So I can see, look what they did with him when he first came up. They made him a freaking manager, Max Dupree. So my thing is, like, I'm just afraid. And I need to see some progress. He needs to win the U.S. belt. He has to. If he doesn't, all faith is lost. Because he's on SmackDown. The heavyweight belt is on Raw. He's not on Raw. They still haven't, eventually they're going to end the brand split. But, right now he's going to be on SmackDown. And if he loses to Theory, or if he just loses the match tomorrow, it's like, where do you take him? You're not going to put him with Roman. Like, no, yeah. So it's like, what do you do? So right now it's at an 8.5. If he wins the U.S. belt, I'm gonna bring it down to like a 2. If he, no, did I say if he loses the U.S. belt? Sorry, if he wins the U.S. belt, if he wins, I'll bring it to a 2. If he loses, it's at a 10.10. Like, that's just
it's done. It's already happened if he loses.
Yeah. So
and that's just the thing we got to remember with WWE, and especially in recent years, is that it's very easy to kind of fall into this pattern. And while admittedly most of the time it's justified and true, of like, if a guy loses, we immediately feel as he's been buried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there is quite a lot of evidence to support that at the very beginning of a lot of these big pushes, the guy starts organically getting over, and then they beat him to get people behind him. It's almost like the Daniel Bryan effect of, like, they realize that kind of can really, really work and get people going, especially in the internet age where everyone rallies together and gets pissed off, bro. Like, they wanted that reaction at Money at the Bank. Yeah. They wanted everyone to be like, fire the writers. This is fucking bullshit. Because that's how you know in the modern era that fans are hooked. You know what I mean? That's how you know they're genuinely into it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, you go all the way back to fucking Austin versus Bret Hart. Austin became Austin because he lost that match.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's just always how it's gonna be, man. So it's like, I think with LA Knight, him not winning Money in the Bank is setting him up to then win the US belt, where everyone's wanting him at the title, but also like everyone wants him at the world championship, right? But also, everyone just wants to see him win. And since he just lost Money in the Bank, they're going to be so happy to see him win that belt that it's not even elevating LA Knight. It's going to elevate the U.S. title to where all of a sudden the U.S. title is going to be this main event must-see thing. And he can have this run that puts, because obviously, like, you look at where Gunther has the Intercontinental belt right now, and it feels like a mini world title, right? Like, the Intercontinental belt feels more prestigious almost than Seth's world title, if not they're equal. You know what I mean? And like, you put a guy like LA Knight on the U.S. title, where all of a sudden he's having must-see belt matches and stuff, and he's the one defending it every Raw, sitting there coming out like, I'll defend this belt right now, you know what I mean? Like, dude, everyone's gonna love the U.S. title too, and then that's really the last belt you need to kind of get the new power level adjusted to it, because really the U.S. belt's kind of been like that shitty other title for like a really,
Theory
really, really long time.
Theory is the most generic wrestler I think I've ever seen. Man has no
Dude,
charisma, and I think he would
mm,
play better as a face. Honestly, like just turn him face. Like just make him a face. Make him like this, like some generic John Cena wannabe something, and just let him be face. Because I think he would work better as a face. Because right now it's just so bland, and I'm just like, yo, you know what somebody said? I don't know who said it, but basically what they said was Grayson Waller is what Theory should have been.
yes.
You see
Dude, I
what I'm
love
saying?
Grayson Waller. Oh my
Yeah,
God, shout
he's
out.
good.
He has
Shouts
won me
out.
over hard
Yeah,
and fast in the past couple of weeks. Like,
yeah.
dude.
So yeah,
And his finish is insane.
the the way I had a name for it,
The stunner from the outside of the ring.
the buckshot stunner.
Yeah, bro, exactly.
So yeah, so alrighty. Well, that concludes our first episode of the Chamber Pod, ladies and gentlemen. So
We did the damn thing.
that's right, we did, and we hit under an hour. So we are very, very excited to continue this. We're gonna bring fresh topics every week. So make sure you
Yes.
stay tuned. Follow our Instagram; it's down there. Follow our YouTube; it's literally right there. Subscribe, and yeah. So we'll be here next week. Good talk, Chance. Appreciate you, my guy. And yeah,
Of course.
stay tuned for more content.